Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pot Smoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Pot Smoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament, of the Hebrew Bible. I use the King James Version of the Christian Bible to put together the prophecy of Israel from the scattered bits and pieces of testimony from the Old Testament prophets. What I came up with was the prophecy of Israel, 2020, the year 2020. And now we are in the 12th month of the final year of life as we know it, or I should say knew it, because that's gone and it will never return. Today I want to talk about something that I call the passage. It's what I've been going through since 1979. And for anybody who's ever played a game of Dungeons and Dragons or a video game that has an RPG in it, you kind of can figure out what a passage is. It's a quest, or it's the going through the quest. It's the gauntlet that you run through when you're questing for something. And it just so happens that I started my quest in 1979. And that was after I had started playing Dungeons and Dragons. So I kind of was introduced to the quest through the Dungeons and Dragons game. And I didn't realize what I was doing when I did this. It wasn't until many, many years later that I realized that I was on a quest and that I had the opportunity to fulfill the promise that I had made to God. That promise was to end suffering on earth. That's a big, big job. I was 17 years old when I made that promise to God. I'm 58 now. It's taken me this long to figure it out. And not just to figure it out, but to put it into motion. And I did that by never giving up, not killing myself, not giving in to money, and not giving up on love. Well, you'd have to know the prophecy to really get the whole gist of what I'm talking about. Because there were certain things that, well, the first thing that I was required to do was to survive. And that was almost, well, it took extraordinary measures for my survival. But since that extraordinary measure was put into place, which was in 1986, I believe, um, my life has been a passage, a series of events which play themselves over and over in a spiraling circle that I call the passage. And what happens is my life goes completely to hell. I mean, everything goes to hell. I lose family. I lose friends. I lose money. I lose my job. I lose my home. I lose the will to live. I lose hope. Everything that can possibly be taken from me is taken from me. And as all of this is happening, I am confronted with moral issues that I have to negotiate through. And this time where everything goes to hell, I call the testing time, which is when I have to make when I used to have to make all of these moral decisions and suffer through all this crap. Well, I'm still suffering through the crap, but the moral issues are no longer at play because I answered all those questions. And, you'd wonder why in the hell am I still going through the passage when I've already answered all the questions. But see, this is the final passage for me. I don't see how it could not be the final passage because of one thing. Trump, pretty much. 2020. I should say 2020 because Trump is only part of this scenario. But when I put together the prophecy of Israel, I found a scenario foretold where we would have a nation in the northern hemisphere which was brought together from everywhere on the planet, from the sides of the earth. It would be a melting pot where people from all over the world would live. And this nation would be a hypocritical nation. It would say one thing and do the other. And what it says is this is a democracy, this is a free country. But yet it imprisons people for doing nothing more than having a good time and selling a commodity that people want to buy. It's like hypocritical. It's a free enterprise system, but you can't sell this. It's a free country, but you can't have a good time. Hypocrites. I'm a good, upstanding person, but I'm gonna kill you if you're not just like me. Hypocrites. Fools. The United States of America. And in this scenario, a base man who has no morals is voted into office. And he destroys the nation. He destroys every facade that they're built on. He undermines it all. And he does so for selfish base reasons. And he ends up destroying the nation in a sore destruction. Now, at the same time that this goes on, there is a consumption decreed upon the face of the earth, where they cast out their bodies in silence. The dead are cast out in silence. Because it is a consuming disease that ravages the human population. And this consuming disease, this plague, which is COVID-19, by the way, sets into motion a series of events that are righteous, that could not have happened otherwise, which is George Floyd. Because COVID-19, we were all locked down. When George Floyd was videotaped dying, his face was pressed into the ground. And that is the manner of his death. And that is the manner of the death portrayed in the prophecy. And the righteousness decreed, which overflows the COVID pandemic, is what we call Black Lives Matter. The movement of my people to stand up for themselves against police brutality. And the policemen are described in the book of Isaiah, or book of Daniel, with their badges and their batons and their belts, utility belts, and their guns. And they're lording it over everybody and pressing the faces of the poor and grinding the faces of the poor into the dirt and forcing us to sleep in beds that are too small as we are put in prison houses in deep dark holes where there's no water, and everything, all of which is true, which is the whole point. Because according to the prophecy, there is a particular series of events that happens. Zion establishes herself in judgment without the use of money in a court of law, where she stands up to champion the cause of an oppressed people who do nothing more than have a good time by smoking a plant that is dried. May 25th, 2015. Zion is imprisoned for her beliefs. July 2015. The basis of man is elected into office. November 2016, while I was serving my sentence and finalizing the prophecy of Israel in the form that I call the Book of Zion. I'm released from prison, having served my sentence out, having no help from anybody, and I publish peace. I write the Book of Zion. Now, the final year of the presidency of the basest man, he is prevented from returning into office. He's booted out of office, which is another thing that the prophecy says. COVID-19 happens in the last year of his presidency. George Floyd dies, the overflowing of righteousness in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. Which brings us to the sore destruction of the Great Northern Kingdom, which is what Trump's claiming of the falseness of the election is doing. He is inciting his baseness, his base people, the base people who are just like him, as base as he is. And if the prophecy reads true, there will be an attempted coup, which will fail. It will be bloody, and it will pave the way for the rise of the nation of Zion. Because what's left of America in the wake of this sore destruction will be those in power wanting to return to business as usual, Biden, and the uprising of the Zionite people, who realize that they're never going to be free in America. And so they gather together in the center of the nation. They go camping. They follow a woman named Zion, who set this all in motion. They go camping. They Minecraft their way through a national strike where they literally say, fuck you and your money. We don't need you. You need us, but we don't need you. Because you see, we have friends in high places. Very, very high places. And we will hold a solemn assembly. And we will invite those friends in higher places to come and join us here on this planet. Because they're from another planet. And they are our father race. And they will come. And they will stand beside us before the eyes of the whole world and say, these are our people. We created them for our pleasure. We created them to be a link between you and us. And they will save you because we have taught them how. And we will give them everything that they need to save you if you will follow them. If you refuse to follow them, then we will do nothing to aid you in the tragedies that are going to befall you in the coming years. So, in order for the just and upright people of Zion to be given restitution for their pain and suffering, they will be given a mountain home called Zion, where they will prepare for the eventual salvation of humanity. And now, may the Great watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. May they teach you right from wrong. May you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your guild choice. It'll make you happy. If you use drugs, stay happy and high. You have every right and reason to. Believe me, I know. I wrote the books. Now, I'm going to say later because I love you way too much to ever say goodbye.